Ladies and gentlemen, recovering emo kids, welcome to Emo Kids Anonymous. I'm your host, Robb LaFoon. Unfortunately, my co-host, Amanda, could not be here today, but she's here in spirit in the form of this Patrick Stump Funko Pop over here. Now, we got a special episode ahead of you here today, okay? This is a Black Friday special. This was once a great holiday. If you're a millennial, you have probably great memories of this day. People lining up outside of stores, camping out outside the Best Buy and shit like that. You know, whatever happened to community? Whatever happened to, this sense of, kinship and fellowship we had with our neighbor where we would camp out amongst them on the sidewalk for an iPhone or a fucking $300 TV. Now we do everything on computers. Not even on computers. We do them on phones. It doesn't make sense, right? Very confusing holiday. As a Canadian also, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, it's not really like a thing in Canada, but you see it down here and you'd hear about it. And then I moved here like in 2008, right when Black Friday probably got really good because, the recession kicked in. So people were probably like really just like doubling down on like pleasure purchases and stuff like that. I remember flying out of Maui one year on Thanksgiving evening at like 7 p.m. and seeing people leaving from like Lahaina to the airport and seeing people like camped out outside the Best Buy and just being like, brother, like, I'll pay you like $150 to not have to wait in a line like that. Like, there's no, I don't know. But it's kind of nice though. There's something like, had to be there about it probably compared to like this stuff where it's like, it's all week. There's really no actual deal. Everything's 30% off. But if you actually have a deal already, it's, if you know where to look, that's not really a deal. And everyone knows where to fucking look now. You got an application for this, application for that. Anyways, Black Friday isn't really going to be the point of this episode. I don't really know what the point of this episode is going to be honest with you. This is going to be the first ever solo episode. It's something I thought would be interesting to do. We've been doing a lot of interviews lately. Obviously, Amanda is handling some business. So Amanda has been away and we've been doing interviews over here. But I thought it'd be fun to just do a regular episode that wasn't, an interview, like we normally would do once a week. Obviously, it's a little different when it's just one person talking. It's a matter of trying to will it just come across like incoherent psychobabble from a fucking, nut job? Or will it be boring at some point? I don't know, it's kind of a weird line to draw and figure out, but I guess we'll see, right? I guess you guys are coming along for the ride either way, but there ain't no fucking seatbelts. Now, before we dive into today's episode and the things I'm going to talk about, let's handle a little business first, okay? I need you to subscribe to this show. I need you to prescribe to the pod, okay? Smash the button, hit the link, do your shit down there. We got a Discord as well for Never a Phase Network. A lot of shit going down tonight. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving night, Thursday, and every Thursday for the foreseeable future, I'll be hosting a live over there where we listen to some music, have some fun, tell some tales and the like. Tonight, we dove into the history of my former YouTube show, Super Sexy Slutty Steaks, which maybe we'll get into later in this episode. We'll see. We'll see where the road takes us, okay, Cheryl Crow? Okay. But either way, prescribe to the pod, all that, emokidsanonymous.com. You can find us on your preferred platform. We also have Instagram and TikTok. We are where we are Emo Kids Anonymous. Twitter, where I have a lot of fun running mouth. We are Emo Kids Anon Pod. Go toss us a follow, share, comment, all that shit. Like, people say it, like, and it's ad nauseum, but it does make a difference. Like, just like a matter of like, a video with like a X amount of comments more than normal, like that pushes it. If a video gets 50 comments versus 5, like, that's going to show it to X amount. Why? I don't know the actual mathematics behind it. I'm not college or nothing, but that shows those numbers, that like people are, it pushes it out more is what I'm trying to say with my words here, but I'm not great at. Okay. Do you understand? Obviously you realize by now I'm not great with words. Okay, so once you've done all that, I need you to go check us out over at neveraphasenetwork.com. We have a ton of cool lists and articles and the like coming up to wrap up 2025, okay? We have a big group project going on that we're cooking up right now that's going to come out in the middle of December, our most anticipated list. Obviously, some of the names from my end that are going to be on there, bands like, are we going to see a new Riley album in 2026? Obviously, we're going to see new Leisure Hour and Joyce Manor at the beginning of the year. I think those are going going to be absolute fucking heaters. Usually when an album comes out in quarter 1, beginning of the year, it's tough to, by the time the year ends, it's tough to really stick around in that year-end album of the year conversation. But based off what we've heard from the Joyce album and the Leisure Hour album, I think both of these are going to be serious top 5, top 10, top 3, top what the fuck ever album of the year contenders for the next year. And we're going to be getting both of them in January. We're also getting new Greywind in January. That's fucking wicked. I'm sure my guy Zach is going to talk about that in that article. Combat Stay Golden came out in 2024. One of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my fucking life. Will we hear a follow-up to that? Will Holden and the gang come out with a third Combat record? I don't know. 2025 was the most inactive year in Origami Angel history. They released, I believe, just the one track on the Counterintuitive compilation. Will we get a new album or possibly an EP or something in 2026? I don't fucking know. But we're going to talk about all these things, everything in between, water parks, possibly MCR fucking 5. I don't know. All that will be in our most anticipated, coming to you on behalf of NAPNET later this next month in December. On top of that, my EP of the year list, single of the year list, album of the year list, all that shit's going to come out, as well as many of my other partners over at NAPNET's list for the same things as well. It's going to be a fun, busy year. Going to be a hell of a lot of lists, okay? If you're anywhere in the near millennial age, you grew up on BuzzFeed and that kind of bullshit, you love a list, right? We should put together some stuff that's like, oh, which Disney princess are you and what stage are you playing at the Warped Tour? Or like, oh, which one of Rodney Radke's like ex-wives are you or whatever? Fucking, I don't know, like which one of the kids that this band was DMing were you, that kind of stuff. I don't know. On second thought, third thought, maybe these are ideas that, probably wouldn't pass through the idea room. Those would have gotten shut down pretty quick by my main confidant, CZB, possibly a Kanan, possibly Jezzy, Lisa, Swimo, definitely, Dane, Kyle, Adam. Now that I think about it, I don't think anyone would have been on board with any of those plans. But all those people over at Never Phase Network, we got a hell of a lot of lists and shit coming your way. So go check those out. The Discord, as I mentioned, a hell of a lot of fun, honestly. The Discord is a great time. I had a lot of qualms and reservations about the Discord to begin with. I assumed it was all furries and perverts, and there's proven to be some of those. And for the most part, as long as they're harmless, they're welcome. But besides that, it's been a great time. A lot of good chit chat, a lot of good fun, a lot of good music talk, a lot of good camaraderie and bonding and things like that. When I say bonding, I don't mean things gluing together or any sort of tie up gimp stuff like that. I mean, like, brothers and sisters and friends and family coming together as one and having a chit chat and a yap about things they mutually enjoy. Specifically music-based things that maybe they grew up on, things that they maybe grew up on and then lost touch with and then are finally getting back to and kind of connecting with that inner child once again. Maybe there are older people that fell out of the way of, following music and what's new in that. And you want to get back in the game. You're interested. Well, we have that as well. We got tons of people sharing cool new shit. There's everything, it all goes down on the cord. Let me just say that right now. It all goes down on the cord. So go, link in the description. Give us a follow all over there. Okay. You got that? Now, last piece of business, obviously, you know the deal. 1 in 3 men, they say, just completely neglect their skincare. I don't fucking buy it, honestly. I think that number's higher. I got a bunch of fellow friends. I don't think none of these fellow friends are putting nothing on their fucking faces, okay? Trust me. Maybe a couple of them are. The ones on the neurotic side maybe are. But for the most part, my pals are not touching up their faces, okay? Okay? That's just a fact. But thankfully, the team over at Protege is here to help you so you don't end up looking like a fucking catcher's mitt like my dad, okay? Right here. Not even kidding. Protege, right here. I got it right here. And just so people think, they think I'm joking around, look at my face. My face looks a lot better than it did a few weeks ago, right? You can be honest with me. I'm not going to get weird about it. Just, say it. Look into the camera and say it. Look, we're applying it right to the skin. It puts the lotion on the skin or else it gets the hose again. I don't want to get the hose again. Oh, yeah. Look at that. And Protege is offering you a deal right now. If you go over to their website, you enter Emo Kids at checkout, you get your first bottle. That bottle right there I got for $10. Normally it's $25. You get it for $10. $10. You get a prescription where it comes in the mail every few months. You can buy it one time, try it out, whatever the hell you want. Take it from me. Take it from Gabe Supporta, really. You know, that guy's got 10 plus years on me and he looks fucking 10 plus years younger. Handsome guy. Great looking guy, obviously. You know him from Cobra. You know him from Midtown. This is his company. And, we, partners of ours, we endorse it strongly. This is something you should check out. I'm serious. This is good boy protection for bad bros, okay? Everyone's got a little bad boy in them, okay? But everyone wants to have a little good boy in them as well. So be a good boy. Go on, head over to protege.com. You enter Emo Kids at checkout. You get a little bottle of this bitch for fucking only $10, okay? Okay? We have a deal? Did we work something out there? We got something going? I appreciate you guys. Now, moving on, let's talk. Let's talk a little, okay? 2025, this has been a hell of a year. We start this show in, I believe, middle of March or so. And we were able very early on to get a nice set of guests to join us, to get a nice set of, ears upon us. You listeners out there have given us your support. It's been a really awesome time over this year. We've gotten to interview legitimately some of our favorite bands. Like I talk a lot about the bands that have come on the show. You see my list, the Emo All-Stars and the Freshman 15, which we'll talk about in a bit. You see those, and, a lot of those are bands that have been on the show. That's because these are legitimately some of my favorite bands, okay? Like Kerosene Heights, Blame It on the Weather, my favorite album of the year. Saturdays at Your Place, one of my favorite bands. Like, I was at their show last month. I was in the fucking pit, okay? Like, I love Saturdays. Riley, love Riley. Combat, sports, obviously been a fan of sports since before this fucking show happened. That's for sure. All these bands, like, that we talk about in here are bands that I legitimately love, we legitimately love, and it's been so cool getting to have so many of them join us, and not only join us and let us interview them and let us, give us some of their time, but also become friends afterwards. There's tons of these bands where, like, to this day, I shoot the shit with on a regular basis. If they come through LA, I see them, and it's been a great fucking time doing this show, and I'm really excited for whatever 2026 has in store for, the EKA pod in general. I think it's going to be a very big year. I think 2025 was a big year, and I think next year can only be better, obviously. And, obviously Amanda will be back and we'll be grinding and fucking brinding and fucking rinding like shrimp and just kind of seeing where the road takes us. But either way, the road's going to be forward. That being said, it wasn't just a great year for our podcast as well. Swig of water for the working man. Sorry about that. It wasn't just a great year for our pod. Obviously, we have 3 other podcasts on our network as well that I implore you to check out. And these aren't just, shameless plugs. These are all pods that I've been on personally, that I, enjoy. And we're all friends of mine before coming into the NAPNET fold, so to speak. That's Stereotherapy, hosted by our friend Lisa. That's the Ska Mailman podcast, hosted by our friend Adam, the Ska Mailman. If you're a fan of ska at all, that dude knows his shit. And the Imperfect Dads podcast, hosted by Devin, our newest addition over here at NAPNET. And Devin is a quality dude, a great father, and he hosts a cool show with a ton of great guests that I would implore you to go check out. Devin is a big fan of second wave emo. He's had a ton of cool ass guests on there, anywhere from guys from the Get Up Kids to Ben from Lucero to yours truly to I believe he's having Matt Pryor on soon, if I'm not mistaken. It's super cool, and it's super cool. Lisa recently just had on Sincere Engineer. Adam had Fred Armisen, and besides just the guests, we have each show brings a lot to the table, I think, and kind of covers a different area. And, we talk a lot about Mount Rushmores on this show. If you want to talk about the Mount Rushmore fucking pods, like, let me kind of tug on my own little boat for a second, my own teeny little boat for a second here. Just like give it a little tug, spit on it and give it a tug and say that we might have the Mount Rushmore, the top 4 of fucking music-based podcasts. Okay? Okay? Do you hear me out there? You hear me out there, everyone else? We're the 4 horsemen here, okay? We're Ric Flair. Lisa's Arn Anderson. Who else is in there? Tully Blanchard, Tully Blanchard is Scott Adam is Tully, and Devin is Oli. I don't. That's kind of a tough comparison. Let's do Evolution instead. We're Triple H. Lisa's Ric Flair, Adam is Batista, and I don't know. There's not really a comparison. We're the Beatles, okay? We're the Beatles. We're the Beatles, okay? John, Paul, Ringo, and George. I don't know. Fuck it, okay? Anyways, either way, it's been a great year for this show, and I'm excited to see what is going to happen next. We got some cool guests still coming to round out 2025. We got fucking Keem and Action Adventure coming up. We have still to come in the next few days. We have Adjust the Sales coming next week. We have a cool ass interview with this band Rec League. Dear Cincinnati, I'm re-recording the Dear Cincinnati Boys next week. I love the Dear Cincinnati guys. That's legitimately one of my favorite fucking young bands. They're great. And the kids in that band, David, Berkeley, all them motherfuckers over there, Troy, the whole gang. The Thoughts on Bowling Kids, the Halftime Show Kids, that trilogy, that little trio of bands right there, that little incestuous pool who are all included on that freshman 15 list. I swear to God, those three bands are the future of this fucking genre, okay? Like, go check them out. They're not only great bands, but they all seem to have their fucking head on their shoulders and are taking this opportunity, a pile of opportunities they have very fucking seriously. Go check them out. Now, let's move on. Let's see. I'm hearing word that we are going to possibly open up the phone lines later. We're going to see about that. Obviously, we've never tried that here, but there is a chance that we're going to open up the phone lines. If you are listening to this, you can give us a call at 666-420 NAPNET. Again, that number is 666-420 NAPNET. That being said, let's move on. Again, over at Never Phase Network, we do have a cool set of things going on in the Discord as well. Beyond that, we have some cool Spotify playlists going on. We have some cool articles as well, some bands of the month. And it's exciting to see what's going to happen on there in the future as well. Moving on beyond that, you're probably wondering why this podcast started in the first place. And who are we? Maybe you've started listening. This is the 81st episode. Maybe you joined in 10 episodes ago. This podcast was started by me and Amanda. We came up with the idea, I want to say in December or January, when we believed TikTok was going away. And I was already looking to do long form content. And I put a word out there that I was looking to start some sort of show. And I heard back from people, and Amanda was the obvious pick, and the original idea was we were going to talk about, emo, possibly more of the third wave stuff, variety, different subjects along that matter. And then very quickly as the show started, we got more into, just showcasing newer bands and trying to be a platform for the next generation. Because I think as members of the scene and as people that are fans of this genre and this world, it is our somewhat like duty, to pay it forward and give these bands some credit, and to not just hang tight on the bands that we like. I think our era, in my head, sometimes we kind of have some like Sunset Strip hair metal vibes to us, where we're just kind of hung up on the past and still hanging on the nostalgia of it. And it's like, that's very good, but it's not quite what we're looking for, all the time. It's important, but it's not going to keep the genre and the scene moving forward. Now, that being said, I do believe we have a caller here. We have a call. This is Cannon calling in from, I believe, the British Empire. Cannon, hi, you're live on Emo Kids Anonymous.
Hello, yes.
Hi, did you have a question or anything for us on this program? This is, you're the first caller in history.
I've watched the program. I don't think people really care about what a middle-aged man just like a child in primary school has to say about music.
Primary school? Listen, lady, listen, I don't know where you're calling from. I've never been across the pond, and frankly, I don't think I'd like it much over there, but I'm dressed appropriately for a man my age. I'll tell you that right now. And a lot of people do enjoy listening to this program. We're pretty critically acclaimed. I think you're giving your nation a bad name right now with your language, honestly.
It's so much rubbish, mate. I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked at the amount of talking you do on this program. You're just constantly waffling about. How do we get you to talk less?
You're banned. I apologize, people. I apologize for that. I don't know what the hell that was about. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that we let that happen. Anyways, let's try to move on as best we fucking can. Okay. As I was saying, this podcast originally, so I started doing obviously, as you know personally, I am a former unsuccessful musician, unsuccessful YouTube, all sorts of stuff. But when I'm a little kid, I find Kiss, and I love Kiss. The showmanship of it, the songs, it was great. And then I get to the fourth grade, I discover MTV, I get my hands on The Offspring, and then Blink-182. I see What's My Age Again, changes my life. I become a music kid. I love Korn and nu metal and just like Blink, and I don't really know what pop punk or punk rock or anything like that is until I'm in the seventh grade, right before the seventh grade, actually. And it's after my birthday, my 11th birthday, I want to say. My 11th birthday, I get a gift card for the Warehouse Music, and I go down the street in San Diego. It was on Garnett and Bayard, I want to say. And I have $25 or something like that, or $20, and I get the $15 for the new Marshall Mathers LP, the second Eminem album, the one with Stan, or the one with The Way I Am and Stan and Real Slim Shady, that one. I get that, and I have about like $8 or $7 left over. Not enough for like most of the CDs, but I had enough for this one CD that I see there, and it's Punk-O-Rama Volume 6. And at this point, I've heard the word punk used in, relation to Blink at some point, and so I know that I like punk, and it's the only CD that I can afford, so I get that one. And eventually, over the next week or few days or whatever it is, I make my way to start listening to this one. And it was a real grower, not a shower, because I wasn't familiar with the bands on here. But back then, back in the old fucking before times, we didn't have like a fucking, the whole world of music at our fingertips, this and that. I only had so many CDs to listen to, kind of thing, So I had to mix it up, and I had to like really give everything a chance. And finally, I realized like, oh yeah, I do fuck with this stuff. And over the next couple years, I dive into punk rock music. Start going to local shows. Obviously, up in Grand Prairie, there's no big, shows. There's no actual bands coming to town in northern Alberta, Canada, which is where I live during the school year at this point. I'm going down to San Diego, where my dad is, during like the summer, but even then down there, it's like I didn't have like friends really. I just went and stayed with my dad. Like I knew my dad and his friends, and like I wasn't gonna like drag them to like Soma or something like that when I was 13, So I start getting into this, and then in the ninth grade, I move in with my dad in San Diego, and in one of the first few weeks being there, it's like September or so, there's this local, like transient motherfucker like playing the guitar on the side of the street, and he looks like Kurt Cobain, and I knew I liked Nirvana, and so I would like give him, like a couple bucks to play Nirvana songs every time I saw him. And one time, I asked him just randomly, I was like, no, what happened was my dad was giving me $20 a day for lunch. He's giving me $20 a day for lunch every morning, because my dad worked nights. So in the morning he'd be tired and he'd just give me $20 and he'd be like, go buy a girl lunch. When you're 14, you're not really just buying girls lunches. Like I wasn't, no one's got game like that. Like I was just really pocketing like $12 a day, because you'd get like the little personal pan pizza and like like a brisk Nest tea or something like that shit. I don't know, but I'd pocket that money and I'd go get a CD. And one of the CDs I got was the Dashboard. It was the Mark of Missions album, I believe, that had the extended, like the enhanced disc, the DVD with it as well, that had the making of, as well as like not the unplugged performance, but a different acoustic performance. And my dad walked in on me watching that, and I think he thought for a second like, oh, like my son might be gay or something like that. So he kind of like is like, like you want to play the guitar? And I'm like, yeah, I already kind of know how. And I already talked to this guy I know in town here who said he'd teach me. And my dad's like, oh, okay. Well, I know this guy who I work with that fucking plays guitar. He'll take me to the guitar center. We'll like pick you out a guitar or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's great. Cool. Yeah. Like I'm super like already like really into guitar. Like I already do that, bro. And then the next day, I like, I skateboard or bike down to the boardwalk or Garnett or wherever to find this guy. And I'm like, yo, my dad said he'll buy me a guitar if you teach me. Will you teach me how to play? I'll give you money. And he's like, yeah, dog. So I got the guitar, and obviously very quickly my dad and his coworker realized they didn't actually know how to play it, but I did have the guy lined up to teach me, so I would go there, and Kyle was his name, and he played in a band called Neverwhere, and which I later used as my band name, because he didn't play any shows that band name. He was like this band he was playing all the time, and I remember being like, I'm going to continue Kyle's legacy or something like dumb like that. But so I went down to him, and I remember my first lesson. It might have been my first one or my second one. My first one, my mom came with me. My mom flew down and visited from Canada, and my mom was a very fancy lady. My mom was like Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada or something like that, like very fancy, like definitely not the type to be sitting outside an internet cafe with her 14-year-old weird, phased up punk son and some like homeless guy who is teaching him guitar. Definitely, not, as I'm paying him in like fucking quarters that I took out of my dad's drawer kind of thing. He teaches me Seven Nation Army and About a Girl by Nirvana. And then, like, the next week, my grandma, my dad's mom, is in town. And kind of same, like, she's not fancy like that, but, she's this old lady. And I remember she sat with me. We sat on the steps. There's a Bank of America right there, right literally across the street from that record store, the location where that Warehouse Music was, where I, bought the first Punk-O-Rama CD. There's a bank right there with some steps outside. And I sat on the steps with my grandma, and he taught me like Jesus don't want me for a sunbeam and stuff like that. I ended up getting some like other lessons from a friend of ours, Carl, who played in a reggae band. He taught me how to play like bar chords and shit. He like fucked my hand, like he'd hold my hand down. It was gnarly. There was another guy, can't even remember his name, but he taught me some stuff as well. And then I moved back to Grand Prairie at the end of that semester, like at Christmas time of the 9th grade, freshman year. And I form a band. I don't play guitar in the band, but like I form a band because it's like, I'm into music. I got this neighbor, Trevor, who plays guitar. We're really into music. We like the same kind of, we like the same bands. We like the Used. We like, fucking No Effects, this and that, Alkaline Trio. Alkaline Trio came like a couple months later, but we liked the same things. And so we started playing in a band together. We had this friend of ours, Matt Sissington, who lived in the neighborhood. We went and shoveled driveways to get money to buy Matt Tisington a bass guitar so Matt could be our bass player. We needed $300. We shoveled, like 10, 12 driveways or something. We lived in a fancy neighborhood that people paid a lot of money for a shovel driveway. One guy down the street, the guy who lived in Ashley Murphy's old house, he gave us $60. We had a 20 each. Told my mom, she didn't believe us at all. She thought like I took the money out of like, like my stepdad's wallet or something. It's like, no, like just like the inflation is really high on the fucking child labor shovel industry right now. I don't know, I'm not an economist or anything like that. I can't explain the derision of it. But anyways, we get Matt a bass. Matt ends up actually not being the bass player in our band. We had a couple random people just play the bass over time, but Chris Bowering played drums in our band. It's funny because I just did an interview with a Canadian band, Customer Service, that's going to come out next week. And we talked about, they mentioned Orville Peck, and Chris Bowering, the drummer from my like band when I was in the 9th grade and 10th grade, he would have been the 8th grade, 9th grade. Chris Bowering is now the drummer for Orville Peck. Wild Small World. If you're a parent out there, get your kid a drum set. The drummers go a lot farther. All the drummer friends I have toured with major artists. I don't think a single one of the guitarist friends I have has really done that at all. So, take with that what you will. Anyways, so I, play in a band for a couple years. I graduate, I also play football, I do other stuff, I'm just a regular person in school, and I graduate high school and I moved down to San Diego to live with my dad. And at this point, like music was something I just kind of dropped. I was really into football, and I went down to San Diego and was like, I'm going to play football at the community college that I'm going to, which was delusional. Let me just say right there, I played football in Canada. And in Canada, most of the people kind of like, I don't know how you say this, they kind of look like me. You know what I mean? Like they're not really like fast guys, you know. Like I'm one of the more athletic ones up there, I guess. If you catch my drift, you know. So when I started playing football down here, I realized very quickly, 5'8" slash 5'7", 5'8" with cleats. So I'm 5'8" white boy, is not gonna hang with these motherfuckers here. So I stopped doing that, and I was like, fuck it. Well, I guess I like playing music. I could be in a band. So I went on Craigslist and I joined a band called the Gulag Carnies. The band fucking sucked, honestly. If Mike, Smitty, Nick, if you guys are listening, I'm sorry. I didn't fuck with that shit at all. You probably knew that though. Great guys though. I enjoy them a lot. I haven't talked to them or seen them in a while, but they're really cool dudes. I was the youngest one in the band, so it's kind of a weird spot. Like same thing, I did only vocals. I was never a great guitarist. I'm still not a great guitarist. So and honestly, it's funny because I'm not a great vocalist either. Especially at this point, I was a fucking terrible vocalist. Like I sucked. But I through that band, you know, we played a lot of fucking shows, like 4 shows a week, and I eventually find my way into I run into an old guy that I went to Mission Bay High School with the semester I went to school in San Diego, Steve-O, and Steve plays in a band called Candy Asylum, and I started hanging out with his band, and they play a show at Soma, the big, you know, cool venue in San Diego that, you know, I always wanted to play, and he's playing Soma, and he's on the side stage, and they're opening, and one of the bands playing later that night is actually, funny enough, one of the bands playing later that night was Outer Space Politicians, who later became All-Star Weekend, who were managed by Richard Rains from Drive Thru Records. And when I met him that night, I told him to like come party at our house, and they're like, we can't, like we have to go like up to our manager's house. And I'm like, oh shit, you have a manager, this and that. And they're like, they mentioned his Richard house, and I was like, did you have to walk on his back? And like every time I saw them after that, they weren't that fucking cool with me. I don't know. Do you think that means they walked on the back? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, through that later that night, also playing though is this band Variety Show, and it's this cool band with a Filipino singer, Filipino guitarist, Filipino bass player, Filipino drummer, and then one little smiley white boy playing guitar up there, playing this fucking AC/DC ass, SG. And I'm like, oh, who's that white boy? And I realize, you know, later on after the show, it's this fella Justin, and I'm kind of keeping my eye on this band for a while. And later in December, this local like union of bands called the Faction, which I was kind of working my way into, has a big show, and the Variety Show is one of the bands on this show. There's this big band in San Diego called Adult Science. I was already kind of buddies with these guys. I'm in a band. I'm kind of trying to get out of. I'm trying to kind of like network and also just like make friends. Like I don't really know people in San Diego like my age in our world yet. So this is like my way to meet people. I go to this show, and at the end of the show, I see Justin outside the venue. This is King Justini, and I walk up to him like, hey, my name's Robb. Like, we should be pals. We hug, and like a month and a half later, we live together. And to this day, one of my best pals. And on that show, headlining that show was Adult Science. In Adult Science, the guitarist Mark Lozano and Kevin Pintado later became bandmates of mine. About a year after this show, this is December of 2009, December 2008, about a year after the show, they get kicked out of Adult Science, and we form a band together called The New Nostalgic, which I really enjoy that band. I would, if you're into Spotify or Apple Music, I would check out that EP. I think it's pretty good, and I feel good saying that because I didn't really like write those songs that much. But, you know, I'll play in San Diego for a while, and after a couple of years, I decided to move to LA. And I moved to LA in 2012. I was living with Mark, and I go to move in with Justin, and I move in with Justin to go to radio broadcasting school here in LA, which obviously doesn't work. I had no intentions of doing music, but after a couple months of living with Justin, we decided to make a band. That band was called Streetcar Rendezvous, which became the Wild Young Hearts, which, you know, we meet Garrett a little later, and that consumes my life for many fucking years. Everything was about the Wild Young Hearts. That was, you know, my main job for a while. Justin moves away to Texas. He gets married. It's a whole summer of '69 situation. Garrett meets Carly. Obviously, they move together. I find out Benji's going to get born. I'm selling cars. Like, that part of my life is pretty much done leading into the pandemic. I'm doing some other creative endeavors. I had a podcast called Perfect Record Podcast where we talked about obviously records we enjoyed, considered perfect records. I had a YouTube show, Super Sexy Slutty Steaks, which was a great time and I still think is fucking hilarious, worth checking out. But for the most part, like, music stuff was done. But then, entertainment stuff in general, I don't know. And then in about 2024, early 2024, my uncle Ty, my uncle Hubba dies, my dad's brother. And Hubba was an obnoxious fucking clown. And at his funeral, I did, the speech stuff that I usually did at those things. And some old lady, who was like a receptionist for my grandpa was like, "Are you a comedian?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And I texted my friends. And I was like, "I'm going to go to some open mics." And I started going to open mics and doing comedy. And then I made a TikTok, because obviously you had to do that to, like, promote your comedy. And I realized it was a lot easier to make videos and reach, hundreds of people or thousands of people than it was to drive across town and spend $20 in gas and there's 15 people there. It is what it is, and gradually over time, my internet stuff became less about comedy and just in general stuff. I randomly became like the face of, like, kind of like almost the face of fucking nons in tobacco pouches for a minute there. If you need go to zemopouches.com. That's another sponsor of the show, really. Pouch Pal 20 at checkout. You get 20% off some of these Zemos. These are American-made pouches. They're absolutely fucking delicious. I'm out of Zemos right now. I cannot wait for my next shipment of Zemos to come in. I'm not fucking kidding you on that one. The lemon, delicious. The grape, delicious. The mint, delicious. The mango, delicious. The raspberry, I don't know. I haven't had it yet, but I'm assuming delicious. The cinnamon, pretty good. My God, sorry about that. I had to go take a meeting. One of our staffers, the guy running the board, I had to fire him because of the calls coming through. Anyways, so I started making videos, and then gradually I start seeing these videos from these, these elder emo people, I guess they call themselves. Elder emos, this and that. The name, I bet you can't remember these 10 classic emo songs. And it's like, I Got Your Picture, and the fucking Reason by Hooba Sucks, and fucking In the End by Linkin Park, and I Miss You by Blink, and Gives You Hell, and Year 3000 by Jonas Brothers, and The Kill by 30 Seconds to fucking Mars, or something like that. And shit would really just grind my gears, because, like, bro, I had people throwing like meatball subs at me over this stuff, okay? Like, I got called fucking gay slurs up until, like, like Obama was president for listening to this stuff and dressing a certain way. So to see all these people just kind of popping in when I know they weren't there, I took a little offense. So I just kind of started gradually just kind of getting more into it. And then as it went on, I realized it's like, okay, like, people also remember these bands, and instead of yapping about sports or making jokes that people could find offensive or unfunny, like, let's talk about these bands we love. That seems like an enjoyable way to spend time. And it led to this show where we have gotten to talk about the bands we love and that kind of shit even fucking more. On top of that, in there as well, I also went to music school for a while, but that doesn't really mean anything. Like, like with the fucking, you get a degree for being usher, like, that's not really, it's just is what it is. But a lot of music stuff along the way. I did fall out for a while, like in the, like late 2010s, just from life stuff. And I think that's a common thing we hear in this story. And then the pandemic hits and you start diving in again. And I've been happy to be, doing that, and happy to be fucking taking y'all on a journey with us. And that leads us in here to NAPNET. Like, what the fuck is NAPNET? Well, once we start the show, at some point, I believe it's in April, a handful of us plus one fucking jabroni kind of come together and realize we're all kind of doing the same thing. And we start, like, kind of just, chit-chatting and networking a little bit. And then very quickly it turns into, like, well, we can have, like, a website, and we can have, social media platforms, and kind of try to make it like an all-in-one place for everything. We want it to have this community aspect that, like, alternative press had, and that a good Reddit has, or even like our Discord has, with this community, like, that you have from forums, or, just like any sort of, you know, like threads like that where you'd be able to fucking chit chat with people that were into the same things as you. We want to be able to give it that. We want it to have this like sort of news feel of like an alternative press, as well as this like character driven feel of like a bar stool without like the date rape kind of vibes, you know, like a less boys club bar stool kind of thing, more of a girls centric, fucking music centric, but in the same sense of like these characters that work here, you're familiar with them personally. Hopefully you are interested in them and their stories. Anyone can tell you about, like, you know, throw up a green screen and then yap over the latest fucking news or tour announcement. Hopefully, you know, we can provide stuff like that, but on top of that, you stick around because you know, you enjoy or connect with one of our, or hopefully most of our, or all of our, you know, creators, or, you know, people on our squad, whether it be fucking, you know, Jezzy or fucking Scott Mailman or Ricky or Zach or CZB or Swimo or Amanda or whoever it may be, Dane, fucking Kyle, you know, Andy, even, you know, gang affiliated Matt Batiste, whoever it is, Elder Emo Mom. We got some new people coming in the pipeline, hopefully soon. Devin, whoever it is, hopefully, maybe me. You know, you connect with them, and that's kind of the intention with NAPNET as well. We just want it to be like that fucking place you can go to get all that shit and get that feeling back, and that community aspect of the internet where it's not, where you can freely kind of talk with each other, and not, you know, like a lot of thing on the internet where it's like, you know, someone's like, oh, I like pancakes, then someone's going to respond like, oh, so you're saying waffles are bad? And it's like, nobody said that. Like, there's no arguing in bad faith or anything on our Discord or anything like that. And that's kind of the way we hope it stays. And just, you know, if you're a member of that stuff already, we're really fucking grateful for you. If you're, you know, if you're interested in helping us or contributing at all to NAPNET, we are always interested in, you know, if you want to write articles or something like that, there's an album you want to talk about, a band you want to talk about, a show you went to that you got to yap about, so email it over to us at neverphase network@gmail. And, you know, if it's, you know, we review it and all that, we're always looking for stuff like that to throw up. We want to be community oriented. I know a lot of people in our community have contributed already, and that's super fucking cool. That's the intent. Like, you know, it's not trying to be like I'm the face of it, or fucking Ryan's the face of it, or Amanda's the face of it, or anything like that, or Lisa, or any of us at all. It's just like, this is a group. It's all of us. This is your group. You know, this is your party. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, darling. We love you very, 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 very much. All right, swig 'em out and do for the working man. That being said, I would like to say, if you do follow NAPNET stuff, you probably saw last week. I flew off the handle in a video in regards to the Warp Tour announcement. Warp Tour, obviously, as we saw this week, has officially announced that they're going to have 5 dates this year, Mexico City and Montreal. This is information that I had shared with me through a friend in confidence about 8 months ago or so. And I shared with the group when someone else, you know, Matt was involved in our group, and Matt, for, you know, his own reasons, respectfully, nothing connected to this, didn't end up, you know, kind of working with us in the same way. But last week, I'm recording an interview with, I believe, Pretty Bitter, and I get a text from friends saying that, you know, this, you know, Matt was talking about it. I blew off the fucking handle. I didn't even realize that, like, you know, like Mexico City had already been confirmed, but like Montreal hadn't really been talked about. Like, I took a lot of offense. I should have went to him directly, but I got heated and made a crazy video. We didn't take down the video. You know, I you know, still wasn't happy with it, and, you know, we hashed it out like adults. But I don't like to act fucking like a nut job on the internet, and that was kind of like borderline nut job moment. And I'm not happy with that. I do think it was funny and entertaining. I don't apologize for the Ronnie Radke line. I do think that was funny, and I hope Matt would appreciate that was funny. But I do apologize for like the reporter thing with that, because it's like, you know, we're all like It's fucking TikTok. It's social media. That we're not fucking Pulitzer Prize winners here. You know what I mean? Like, who am I to fucking question someone's like, journalistic integrity and journalistic credibility and that kind of stuff? So like, Matt, if you're listening to this, we've already hashed it out, but that wasn't nice. I should have been like a little less fucky about it. That being said, 5 locations for the Warped Tour. That is cool. I was also thinking there was also rumors, I think, for a second that there was going to be a 4th location in the States. I think maybe they just couldn't finalize it because like sounded it was like, oh, is it going to be Denver, Pacific Northwest, Texas, Midwest? I don't know, but like Montreal, Mexico City are cool picks. It's interesting. I'm excited to see what they do. I didn't love this last year of Warped Tour the way it's like the big headlining bands are like it was very obvious, Warped Tour's kind of gimmick always was no headliners. And this last year, like very quickly became apparent, like there is like, yeah, they do the inflatable with the lineup the day of, but like I was even asking, some of our friends, like what's the point of that? Like why are we doing that? Like the lineup is clearly fairly determined in terms of like large artists are going at the end. Like I think the headliners consistently were the Machine Gun Kelseys, the Ronnie Rathkeys, A Day to Remembers, All Time Lows, Avril Lavigne. Those kind of people were all the headliners. And like, it's very clear those were the headliners. Simple Plan, that shit, like, and no knock on those bands, but like the idea of Warped is you kind of, like, goddamn, give me a Magnolia Park randomly or the Maine or Saturdays or something in those slots. Like the tickets are $150, comparable, if we're, relatively speaking compared to other festivals. If When We Were Young is $500 and you're getting 2 days of Warped Tour for $150, that one day is $75. Like if you're giving them 20% the show, you're overproducing on that. Like give them, part of the spirit of Warped Tour is like paying it forward in the next generation. I think kind of hanging on these legacy bands, and like those are all legacy bands. And like, yeah, MGK is semi newer to the rock world directly. Yeah, he played Warped Tour and stuff like that. Goddamn, almost 15 years ago. But was mainly known as a rapper, and comes into this world in about 2020. That's still, that's as new as we got here, all time low, like fucking it, bro. They've been around longer than the girls they're chatting up. Fucking, Ronald Rathke, same, he's been around for, he's been headlining these Warped Tours for like 10, 15 years. All these bands, like, be cool to see some newer bands get these spots. And, I'm curious with like, as it goes on and as we see like When We Were Young not announcing, I'm curious if like the nostalgia factor wears on and we kick things into the next gear the way we should, to where we're pushing forward to like, okay, how do we capitalize on this and pay it forward and roll the ball forward and get the next generation of bands like their due spot? Because like look at a When We Were Young, we can get all these people there, they're all excited. Panic's about to play, like Panic. We're all excited to see Panic. Why are the 2 slots on the stage before Panic? Like, why is one of them not someone? Why are we not throwing, like, Arm's Length played this year? Arm's Length was at like noon or 11:30 or 1 or some shit. Why is Arm's Length not on the main stage at 7 p.m.? Because Arm's Length is going to be here for the next 10 fucking years. You give them that fucking spot. You know what I mean? Like, give them that spot. And it's going to pay off for you. Go put one of those bands. That band you're going to put, Bad Religion doesn't need to be on the main stage right there. Bad Religion is fucking Bad Religion. You can put them on the side stage and it'd be fucking madness. It'd be so fucking cool. Like, I'm thinking like Coachella, if like one of those bands that should be a main stage, or when they play in one of the tents, it's fucking bananas. It's super cool. And I think maybe Warped Tour should look into going into that regard. I think in general, I'm excited to see how it goes this year. I think these ones seem to go fairly well. I'm curious of pushing it to 5. I mean, it's logical. These are very professional. I mean, Kevin, say what you want about him. He knows his shit when it comes to promoting and logistics and running events. So do Insomniac, his partner on this. They know what the fuck they're doing here. So I'm assuming, they're not biting off more than they can chew the way like a When We Were Young or some other festival would. They know what they're doing. They're upscaling at a reasonable rate. But I'm curious to see like lineup wise what we're going to be looking at, like, are we going to be looking at more of the same kind of vibe? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to lean more into the nostalgia thing? Obviously, budget wise, things change up. I mean, you're talking about Mexico City. We're talking about conversions and the like. I mean, is that 80,000, 100,000 tickets sold in Mexico City, theoretically? Is that the same dollar amount that the 80,000 tickets sold in DC or Orlando or Long Beach is? I don't know. In Canada, same thing. The Canadian dollar is damn near 65 cents to the American one. Are they going to be paying 220 Canadian, like, and it evens out here? Are we going to be getting the same lineups? I don't know. And I guess we're going to see in about, I would say, about 2 months. I'm guessing late January, we're going to start seeing the rollouts. I do think I know a couple bands that are going to be on it, but we're not allowed to say anything yet because we're going to get in trouble. We don't want to get in any more trouble. I've been getting in so much trouble. They're like, bad. They're like, bad boy, you're being bad. And they fucking spank me in the bottom, and then they fucking put me in the corner. That's what Swimo did to me. He did that to me one time. He did that to me because I gave his credit card number to this guy who said he would give us a Honda Pilot for $7,500, and he didn't give us a Honda Pilot for $7,500. No, he charged Swimo's card for $900 for some website called the Hot Boy Barn. The Hot Boy Barn? Who's even heard of Hot Boy Barn? I don't know, but some guy used Swimo's credit card and spent a whole lot of money at Hot Boy Barn. It wasn't me. It wasn't any of us. We know that for sure because they tracked the guy's IP address and they said he lived in Seattle? Huh? I don't know. But either way, moving on. Let's talk about the list, okay? Let's talk a little list, okay? Let's talk about the Emo All-Stars and the Freshman 15, and let's maybe talk about the bands on there as well as some possible snubs I made, possible mistakes, possible bands I forgot, possible people I should have left on. Look, I'm new to this journalist game, okay? There's a reason I call myself a fake journalist. I don't have the credentials for it, okay? I'm kind of flying by the seat of my own pants here. I can't really get a hold on this thing on any end here, okay? It's a fucking mess. But I'm doing my best, okay? I'm doing my best to fight the AI fucking slop and the corporate overlords, okay? I saw Spin Magazine. I used to steal Spin Magazines from the airport and read that shit because it was cool and they told me cool bands. I saw Spin running a fucking ad for like the U.S. Army the other day, some sort of recruitment thing. It was like the fucking guys that show up at the high school. I remember being in high school in San Diego, and this guy being like, "You like music? Well, did you know Shaggy was in the military? Yeah, Shaggy. Yeah. Mr. Boombastic. Yeah, Mr. Lava. Yeah. You can be just like Shaggy. And you can go see the whole world. You can go see the whole world and be Mr. Boombastic if you join the military." And I saw that bullshit from Spin. So we're doing our best over here at Never Phase Network. Now, that being said, let's get into the Emo All-Stars 11. Obviously, Hot Mulligan, very obvious pick. I think they've, front runner mainstream wise, they're killing the game. Riley fucking killing the game. Obviously, Keep Your Cool came out in 2024. They're going to be on the most anticipated list, I'll tell you that much. 2025 for them was a big year of opening on tours. They had a single, We Only Say It Out of Habit now on the Counterintuitive comp, which one of the best comps since the Punk-O-Ramas, maybe one of the best comps of all time. Many are saying that. Many are saying they see that and they're like, wow, what a great comp. They say that all the time. Big, beautiful, illustrious comp. But Riley opened up for Saturdays and Carly this fall, and earlier in the year, they were opening up for Arm's Length, I believe. Like, they're putting in work, grinding. Ryan and them fucking little fucking... them, little Texan boys, they kill it. I think they can be just one of the best fucking bands and biggest bands. Sports is on here as well. Look, if we're giving away awards like the NFL or something like that, this is Comeback Player of the Year here. Sports went away to, very little fanfare in the late 2010s, and they come back here to absolute fucking critical and pure acclaim. I've said it before on TikTok and on this show in interviews, and you've heard it from many bands we've interviewed. I swear to God, damn near every band we talk to that's under the age of 25, they mention sports as like the reason they started playing guitar, the reason they started using weird tunings and stuff like that. I mean, shit, sports, lowercase of the period, halftime show. Next week we have an interview with Rec League coming out. Like, all these bands are legitimately just fucking biting their name from fucking sports. Like, they all just fucking love sports. There's no way around it, and it's flattering, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see Chris and Sean just get that fucking love they deserve. I was at their show in LA a couple weeks ago. I fucking got to stage dive. It was a great time. I fucking am so stoked to see them again. Rumor has it they're working on a cool project. There's some new music coming out. Like, sports is all the way fucking back, dog. Yeah, as you can tell, It's not just the Padres and the Chargers I love when it comes to sports. I also love, Demon Days, the band, and the band, the album. Also on this list, Kerosene Heights. Kerosene Heights were my fucking band of the year. You see the banner back there. This is legitimately my favorite band right now. This fucking band rips. New Tattoo is my song of the year. Blame It on the Weather is my album of the year. Kerosene Heights is my band of the fucking year. Southeast of Somewhere, their last album, is incredible. Great record. Songs like Catherine just fucking kill. But this record just sends them into a new stratosphere to me. Songs like, Die Trying, things like Forever, New Tattoo, like Forget It, like the title track, like this shit is so good. If you listen to any album that I recommend on the show, please check that one out. Next up is Saturdays at Your Place. Obviously, same kind of thing. They come out, they're one of the first bands announced on the Warped Tour rollout, and they fucking kill it, They have a great fucking year, and they're, wrapping it up with a damn near fucking their biggest tour yet. Many sold out dates. They're about to head over to Europe. Europe. Yeah, Europe. 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 I don't know why I did it like that. Scarlet Street, my next pick. Look, if we're looking at this like it's fucking like NCAA or something, we're putting together a team. You can't just have all the guys from Power 5 schools, okay? Let's have a Cincinnati sneak through here. Let's have a Boise or something slide through here. And that's Scarlet Street. Their album No Alternative is to me is my feel bad record of the year. It has a classic third wave, even fourth wave emo feel to it, a sense of existential late stage capitalist dread that you really don't hear in a lot of records. Leisure Hour on here as well. They dropped single after single of absolute fucking bangers. Fun fact, when this album came out, as I say in this album, their song Jenny was one of the biggest songs of the year, maybe the most haunting. Here's to hoping we see a full-length Leisure Hour LP in 2026. The day after I released this article, the day after this was published on Never a Phase Network, Leisure Hour announced their signing to Counterintuitive Records, and the announcement for their first full-length LP coming out in January. So let me just say, I'm a little bit of an emo Nostradamus, Emostradamus, I guess you'd say there, with that shit, okay? Call me Adam Schefter with the sad song. Call that a wash bomb of the Warped Tour, okay? I don't know either way. Next up, Arm's Length, same thing, absolutely killing it across the board. Their album, There's a Whole World Out There, was massive earlier this year, doing a bunch. They did When We Were Young. They're opening on the Hot Mulligan tour right now. They did their own tour earlier this year. Harrison Gordon as well, absolutely killing it on a tour right now. Released maybe the best EP of the year. My EP list is going to be my top 8. I know for a fact there's going to be 2 Dear Cincinnati EPs on there, the Townies EP on there as well. Harrison Gordon might be at that top of that fucking list, okay? The Spring Break EP, Driver's Side, one of the best songs of the year. Fucking Summer Brews up next. Summer Brews, let me just say, Infinity Guys, top 3 record of the year. Many are saying it's the best record of the year. Many are saying Rusev Day, Say Hi to Kate, one of the best tracks I've ever heard, okay? Was the Grink there? Great fucking closer. Man, I feel like a dumbass. I'm only book smart when the book's about wrestling. Like, fucking Mike, did you write that lyric about me? What's your fucking problem? Get out of my head. Next up, Ben Quad. Ben Quad, same thing, massive year. Just released Wisher recently. Our interview with Ben Quad the other day had to be rescheduled. Ben Quad will be coming shortly on the pod. I'm sorry we had to delay that. They had to get some shit sorted out before their tour. I'm sure he understands. So again, my Emo All-Stars for 2025, okay? We're going Ben Quad, Summer Brews, Harrison Gordon, Arm's Length, Leisure Hour, Scarlet Street, Sports, Saturdays at Your Place, Kerosene Heights, Riley, and Hot Mulligan. Now let's talk about possible snubs there. I think the obvious one, number 1, is Trash. Derek Barry from Trash is mentioned about 10 fucking times in my freshman 15 article for helping the bands on that list. Not only did Trash have a major year in which they're headlining a fucking tour that 2 of the bands on that Emo All-Stars are on. They're the headliner again. Not only that, they also are, one of the bigger bands when it comes to the youth, Gen Z. I think, I have an interview with Shane from Adjust the Sales coming on next week, and we talk about it, and it's like, hey, fucking right now, Derek Barry from Trash is the president of emo. So I think those are the obvious fucking misses right there. Action Adventure put up a hell of a year. Keem as well. Michael Sarah Palin. Tons of great fucking contenders across the board. Let me know what you think. Let me know, where did I fuck up on the Emo All-Star list. Now, before we do that, let's move on to the freshman 15 list, okay? First up, I had Aren't We Amphibians on the freshman 15 list. Aren't We Amphibians are a band that could have been on the All-Star list as well. Parade, legitimately the best fucking debut album I've heard from an emo band in fucking 10 years. Next up, Petty Hendrix, the absolute man. You heard him on the Good Charlotte album this year. He's gonna keep fucking killing it. He should be the goddamn new MGK. 10-month summer, Tenmo, the Kings of Yearning, the fucking seminal Lakeshore emo band. We'll be hearing a new EP from them in 2026, I think, and that is one of our most anticipated. Halftime show, Thoughts on Bowling, Dear Cincinnati. All three of these bands, they're going to go as far as they want. It depends on which members stick with which bands and which ones they focus on, honestly. We got a real Deion Sanders situation across the board with this band, okay? We got multiple guys and multiple bands, okay? Do you want to play for the Braves or do you want to play for the Falcons, boys? Make your decision, Bryce. Next up, Chris Casey, okay? Chris Casey came on this show after West Coast Funeral came out. I had to have him on the show, okay? I got sent Chris Casey by Caitlin. I'm like, I got to get West Coast Funeral guy on the show. He came on our show. We heard his story. Boom, the next week, Anthony Fantano is talking about him. So all we're saying is you want to get the attention of the world's busiest music critic. You want to get on the needle drop. You got to come on Emo Kids Anonymous first, okay? There's a pipeline. The pipeline from LaFoon to Fantano is a straight fucking line, and there's one fucking stop, okay? It's a one-way trip, okay? One-way trip to the top. So make sure you pack your bag nicely because you're getting rocket strapped to the fucking moon, okay? Next up on the list, Winona Fighter, absolutely killing it. Daisy Grenade, absolutely fucking killing it. Townies, absolutely fucking killing it. We Are Okay, great band. Tiger Wood recently just dropped an interview with Tiger Wood. I love Tiger Wood. No Problemo as well. No Problemo, great band out of Michigan. Fucking the Lansings. I don't know which Lansing they're from or Kalamazoo. I don't fucking know. This band is out of fucking control though. You're the Frog, one of the best EPs from last year. Very excited. Many are excited. Many are saying there's going to be a hell of a follow-up to it next year. Of course, rounding out that list is Pretty Suspect, emo warpcore band out of the Pacific Northwest, out of Oregon, the state of Oregon, where I used to live, as you know. I guess I left that out in my origin story earlier. And last on the list is Schemo. Schemo released 2 EPs and an LP this year. They're based out of Denver. They will be on the show before the year ends. I believe they're going to be on in about 2 weeks. Look for that episode to drop maybe week of Christmas. I'm not exactly sure. So again, my list for the Freshman 15. It goes Schemo, Pretty Suspect, No Problemo, We Are Okay, Daisy Grenade, Winona Fighter, Townies, Chris Casey, a Dear Cincinnati halftime show, and Thoughts on Bowling, 10-month summer, Petty Hendrix, and Aren't We Amphibians. Those are my Freshman 15 All-Stars for 2025. Those are the bands and artists that I think are most poised to blow up in 2026. That being said, there is a handful I left off there as well, obviously. You know, same thing. Like, is Michael Sarah Palin maybe on that list? Did we leave off The Low Blow? Did we leave off Updog? I don't know. There's a lot of worthy acts to be on this list. And I hope anyone reading that list, they see their name left off. They don't take it as a slight. They take it as motivation and say, fuck this guy. I'm going to make it so I'm absolutely on his stupid fucking list next year. If you're listening to this and you're in a band, that's what I hope you take from it, okay? Also, if you're listening to this and you're in a band, I hope you listen to my next interview with Shane from Adjust the Sales, because we talk a lot about how as a guy in a band to really get attention online. That being said, I think that pretty much covers everything we want to cover here in the first ever solo episode, right? You guys have fun? We were able to do it. We were able to handle this. Everything turned out okay. I think we had a nice time, right? Right, you guys? I'm hearing crickets from you over there. Can you give me a confirmation you had fun? Okay, I'm going to have to add a sound or something to that. Listen, I appreciate you guys joining me for this one. It was awkward. It's weird doing it by yourself, but I thought it'd be fun to try it out. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously I'm excited for Amanda to come back. I'm excited for everything that's happening with the show, you know, and, if you're listening to this, if you're a fan of the show, thanks for listening. I'm excited to see, how much you like this next little round of interviews and the people we got coming up, in December and January, because it's about to get fucking stupid in this motherfucking bitch. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know, just fucking keep listening to the fucking show. Go get some Protege, Emo Kids at checkout. You know, you get it for $10. I don't know. Thanks for fucking watching. See you at the next meeting.
This show is a part of the Never a Phase Network, a collective of creators dedicated to keeping the spirit of the scene alive. Our network of creators make social media content, they share music news and reviews, and of course bring you great podcast content. For more information, please visit neveraphasenetwork.com and follow Never a Phase Network on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Hey man, it's your boy Petty Hendrix, man. You tuned in to Emo Kids Anonymous. Check it out, you did.